my nose. That's not going to work out.
Hello and welcome to the Part-Time Gamers, the gaming podcast for people with full-time lives. I'm Cernex, clocking in with my good friends, 9 of 12. Okay, we got the very last part of that. But,
Okay, well then you just get the hello from the Pokemon.
yeah, that's,
There
I
you go.
believe that's a Wobbuffet. I believe. Or,
No, it's Wooper.
Wooper, that's right. Wobbuffet's
Wobbuffet's the evolution, though. Good job.
Okay. It's blue and weird looking. All right. That's not incredibly descriptive. And that one weirdo.
Just so everyone knows, breaking news: due to telecommunications breakdown, it has been confirmed that not everybody heard that the bird is the word.
I was kind of wondering where this was going, but yeah, that works. That works out.
Thanks for that one. That was I was a little uphill on that.
So yeah, we have random squishy Pokemon, which we'll get into later.
Mine's not squishy.
Well, yeah, yours is Lego, but I it's funny, during the pre-show I went upstairs real quick and this is actually my kid's little squishy
Squishmallow.
Pokemon. Yeah. It's so squishy. I like it. I don't want to give it back now, but it's my child's. I'll give that back later.
I'm wearing my shirt. I'm headed to the gym.
Nice. All right. Yeah, we will get into the reason why we're doing all this Pokemon stuff a little bit later. You might be able to guess why a little bit later. Anyways. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into our icebreaker.
Nice of you to drop by.
Never heard that one before.
So, in the world of Pokemon, this is among, I believe, one of the most important questions that you can ask anyone. What type of starter Pokemon do you prefer? Fire, water, or grass?
What kind of what?
Starter
Storia?
starter
Starter.
Pokemon.
Okay.
Sorry, my enunciation is bad for my mouth making noise things.
If
Yeah,
words
it
good,
was
I
not
talk.
good.
I say.
Yeah.
Uh,
It doesn't really. I don't think it
Oh.
matters which generation because I think they always start off with a fire, water, and grass type. Oh,
Well, me, I prefer grass.
but what kind of Pokemon do you like?
Oh, there was another part. Oh, you were
Yeah.
talking about something else completely different.
I like grass actually, but for real. Like I got really excited when I got the opportunity to choose like Rowlet because it's a little owl. And I used to like Bulbasaur. Like my husband loves Squirtle, but like I always liked the leafy, viney powers. They animate really cool. I guess it's the druid in me.
Oh, for me, it's always been fire. I always choose fire. It doesn't matter what generation it is. I will always choose the fire starter. I don't really have any. Well, actually, I know exactly
You
why.
named
Because it's
yourself
red.
after a dragon.
Well,
This
that
isn't
too,
really
yes.
Surprising.
I have an potentially unhealthy fascination with dragons and fire and such. So yeah. Even though I remember, was it I think it was Death Battle. They actually did a 3-way battle between the original 3 starters, and their highest evolutionary forms, so Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. They actually did a 3-way battle between the 3, and came to the conclusion that Blastoise is actually the most powerful starter of that generation. Not just because of like the kinds of gyms that you face early on, but also because it statistically actually has higher stats than the other 2. So I thought that was interesting, but I gotta go fire. I always go fire.
Now, Theo, you gonna round out the team and choose the electric?
Actually,
I mean-
so for me, I'm ground. So for me, it's Totera. I've always been. It's one of those. For me, especially with Pokemon, like obviously it's always visual. And
start with
then
that.
for those who saw the movie, I love
Which
what they
one?
did. The live action, where
Huh.
Ryan Reynolds played Ryan Reynolds,
Okay.
and then he played Pikachu as Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. What's with all these coffee cups? You get any sleep last night? Oh yeah, I got a full 40 minutes. But
That's called
oddly
adulthood.
enough, kind of yeah. Yes. I found I for me, that's always been kind of my thing. Actually, so my favorite
Starter.
overall, huh?
That-
What, starter?
But what's starter? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
It's like Sean
Yeah,
would
it's-
choose Charmander, and I could choose
Yeah.
Rowlet, and
I don't know. It's tough because I like so many of them. Honestly, I like Charmander. I guess I would go with that. I can't really round it out. I would
Yeah.
go Charmander too.
Yeah.
it's really cute with the char.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he gets really mean looking.
Yeah.
We should
I
have
mean-
a pop figure of that somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting, especially because he was, part of the first anime series and everything like that.
Yes.
He's, part of the first generation. He's also like one of the rarest and most valuable Pokemon cards in existence. It's like a special edition Charizard. But yeah, I mean, it's obvious for me because he looks like a freaking dragon by the time he gets to Charizard, and he's fire.
Yeah.
So I always gotta go with that. But yeah. I also find it funny that despite all of the different Pokemon games that come out over the years, still my favorite version is Fire Red, which is a remake of the very first one, one of the first Pokemon games.
Fire Red's pretty tight though.
It is. I actually still, I think I have it. I have an emulator on my tablet, and I think I still have a save file on
I'll
there.
snob all over me because I'm not a real Pokemon player. I am told.
My
If you
favorite
play a
Pokemon,
Pokemon
is
game.
Mr. Mime. Yeah.
Yeah, if you play a
Yeah,
Pokemon
Mr.
game,
Mime.
you are a Pokemon fan.
Mr.
Exactly.
Mime is so twisted. Oh my god.
Yeah, Mr. Mime is my favorite, which is weird because I talk so much and then it's like, what's your favorite Pokemon? Oh, the one that says nothing. Go figure.
Opposites attract.
Imagine that.
Yes.
But also, one of my other favorite, probably Charizard's my first favorite Pokemon. Probably I would have to say my second favorite is Scizor, which is the evolution of Scyther.
Oh yeah, Scizor,
Yeah.
the steel type. Oh, it
Yeah.
is so good in a lot of different ways.
Oh yeah, the main
Yeah,
reason
the-
why I like him is he has only one weakness. Is he's resistant or at the very least baseline against every kind of attack except fire. If he stares at a lighter for too long, he will burst into flames and die. Because he takes ×4 damage. Because both types that he is, he's metal and bug type, and both of those are weak to fire.
Weak to fire. Yeah.
So that's the only weakness he has, and he's got metal attacks and everything. He's really powerful. I like him for that resistance. That he just looks cool. But
He does look really cool.
Yes.
cool.
Cool.
All right. So let's go ahead and get into our water cooler talk.
You get that thing I sent you?
I'd be
Yeah.
a stinky Pokemon.
There's a lot of those too.
Yes, there is.
All right,
Yes,
Ember, let's go ahead
I'm
and
amused by those.
yeah, let's go ahead
Okay,
and
so
give
not really
yours.
game news, but game adjacent, right?
Yeah,
there's
game
a Tomb Raider
tangent.
anime coming out, and this got to me immediately because I've been watching a lot of anime in the last couple of years, and I love how much Netflix has right now. And yeah, they're getting a animated series Tomb Raider, and the date it's being released was announced. What is today? Yesterday. It's going to be arriving on October 10th.
Nice.
Woohoo.
So I posted a link in the chat. It'll be in the notes. There's a trailer you can watch. And I'm psyched. This looks like, an art style I like that I'll be really into, and it's got to be better than some of those movies, right?
Yeah.
In
That,
I
theory.
think with like, well, I mean, I think with the nature of the movie and it coming from a video game, I'm hoping it's going to be, a better place to put it than trying to do some of that in a movie.
yeah. Yeah, I think because it's a video game, because it started as a video game, that animation would probably be more fitting for it. Just because of the kinds of stuff that has to be done in those games and everything.
And apparently there's a teaser out there that they're going to try to use this story to unify the timelines of the original games with the reboot trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right.
Yes, please explain one end to the other, because at one point it's like, yeah, like they made her realistic, but when you look back at her, it's like, yeah, the top of her body looks like a Cybertruck. Like those are gonna click. Like, do we have that right?
Yeah.
well, it's being written by the same person that wrote The Witcher Blood Origin, so that gives me some hope. And I mean, I know
Yeah.
they can't explain everything, but it's certainly better to attempt it than go, oops, she woke up, or oh, it's another timeline, right? Like, I gotta respect the attempt.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how that goes. I mean, once you start getting into like different offshoots of the same title, and then trying to like retcon everything kind of back together to make us, it gets a little weird. But we'll see how that goes. I am kind of I'm
more
excited.
interested in this than the live action that's coming out.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting a lot of hopes. I'll definitely watch it. Like the other, I really, really like Blue Eye Samurai. I am enjoying the hell out of Delicious in Dungeon. I think Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is stupid and terrible. So
Please leave.
Tell us how you really feel.
that animated series, have you seen it? Come on.
Yes, I loved it.
Loved it.
Oh, it's just me.
I mean, there were some odd
I mean, I
moments
wasn't
in
that
it,
crazy
but
about Scott Pilgrim either. So
Well, that's the thing,
It's
like-
a me thing.
yeah.
Fine.
Oh,
Yeah, that movie's wonderful.
yeah. Oh,
Meh.
I'm kind of excited the fact that Haley Atwell is going to be playing the voice of Lara Croft.
Oh yeah.
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 So Agent
That's kinda
Carter,
neat.
you know, she's
Mhm.
she's amazing in general. Oh, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be
we'll
curious
just leave
to
it at that.
see. It doesn't. I can't tell from the trailer. I guess it doesn't seem like they went the direction of making it look much like her, but
Making her
maybe sometimes your brain gives that impression later, right?
Yeah. Cool.
So anyway, October 10th. What do you got, Theo?
Ah, well, you know me with my uplifting articles. And
Yeah.
and this one, well, you know me, like it's a love-hate, really hate relationship either between DC or Ubisoft. And I went DC this time.
Yeah.
And for those who have played Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and hate yourself for it, don't, because it's not your fault. They made a bad game. And they
Yeah.
made a bad game to the point where in this article, they are not going to have developer updates unless there's big news. And I just want you to know that this article, let me just be upfront, this article is full of inaccuracies. One part here. Fans are worried, but it's even worse now that Rocksteady has confirmed that it'll have no longer be releasing weekly developer updates. Right there, lies. There are no fans of this game.
Yeah, I was going to
Nobody
say
likes
the
this.
I was going to say the URL should read Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League weekly developer updates canceled. Both fans worried.
Yes. Yes. Which were probably the two guys who wrote this thing.
Yeah.
It as expected, this game, I mean, they had to have known up front what they were doing was bad. And, you know, just it's just gotten progressively worse. And the funny thing is
Hmm.
I feel like they felt that each update was going to turn this thing around, and then it was like, you're so wrong. Just this game, just from the jump, has not been good, has not been embraced by fans very well. I've tried playing it, and then I looked in the mirror for an hour crying and went, "Who are you?" And I haven't touched the game since. It is a game that talk about overpromise, but the last few DC games have not been up to snuff. And this is like Rocksteady. Like, you look at like the Batman Arkham series and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, how did you go from that to the steaming pile of horse manure I have in my PS5? Like, do you have no decency? So there's not going to be major updates. There's not going to be anything really going on with it unless there's big news, like another big steaming heap up. And it just kind of adds insult to injury. This game, for those who might have looked it up, this game has lost somewhere in the range of somewhere reportedly in like $200 million. Like, it is talk about, I mean, it's just DOA. And
Yeah.
it's just disappointing. The reviews were terrible off the jump. I remember all the pre-stuff they were trying to do to get people hype to kind of counter a lot of the bad word of mouth. And I think their updates made it worse because I think they were just trying too hard. I think from the get-go, they just put out a poor product.
Yeah.
And some games recover. I mean, Cyberpunk, yeah, it didn't start off the best, but now you play that thing and you're like, ooh, look what you did. It took you some time, but you got it.
Yeah. Or
and
yeah, like Cyberpunk and No Man's Sky are
yes,
like they are the
I still
exception to
call
the
it
rule. though.
Nomansky.
Yeah, I do too
Nemansky.
occasionally. But,
Nemansky.
but those are the exceptions to the rules where they somehow, against odds, made those games work. It's like the way I like to think about it, like especially with Cyberpunk, is like the first year or so that it was released, that was the early access period, and then like a year later is when it was officially released, and it works great. Like that's one game that I still want to get back into. It's a matter of time.
It's me, Wario.
You can't just do that, just out of nowhere.
She can. That was awesome. I must ask you a question. I'll save it for later.
All right, audio listeners, September just mysteriously put on a mustache that with the curls and everything.
She
I was
literally
feeling I was feeling
villain.
left out, and I had to outdo you.
You got the Dudley Do Right villain. You just need to twirl it as you go. My riches. But
Sorry.
and you make two good examples, but I think you have to have kind of a realization. I think with the updates they've tried to do and now they've stopped, I think they've hit the wall knowing that everything they're throwing at it now is just not working because off the jump, things just didn't play out well. And I feel like some of this stuff was already planned and they didn't change anything in mid-stroke. So now they're kind of like, okay, well, let's just see what happens. It's like, no, you probably got to go back a little and like have an honest kind of come in a JC moment where you go, okay, this is a poopy burger. They wanted a burger. Let's take a look at this. And I think when games do have kind of that mid-stroke change, and in both cases, the ones you pointed out, it is kind of okay, we're pulling back to go forward.
Yeah.
And it's not just, hey, we know what you're saying, you called us on it, but kind of following through with the listening to the fans. And I think that's very tricky because when content comes out, most creators, creative types, content makers don't want to call themselves out and say, you know what? We did bad. We're sorry. We're hearing you and we're going to try to give you what you want as well as what you need. And I think that's a very tricky line. And once again, not a lot of games get it right. The two
Yeah.
you listed is definitely in that. And Cyberpunk especially, where it's literally like, okay, you figured it out. Like it was a
But what they're
bumpy
doing
road at
here,
first.
as you said, is like it's like the opposite. It's such like no, we're just gonna pretty much neglect. Like unless there's
Yes.
something
Well,
big.
Yeah,
Unless
and-
we feel like they're only gonna do it if there's a big thing because they're waiting for it to be enough to update. Like
I feel like they don't have a real answer. I think they're trying to give some type of possible false hope to fans that like we're not going to release anything until we're ready, and it's like great. I can't wait for the year 2187.
Yeah. Oh, and somehow it'll make the game look 100 years older. But I don't know. It's just the only thing that I can think of about this is that is just corporate. It's just corporate meddling. The fact that it's like it comes down to money. It almost always does. And like I wouldn't be surprised if they were pressured to release this game in the state that it was, just because it's like, hey, we need to release something to make money. Let's try this, and it just backfires because it's like I've seen side by side comparisons between this and the Arkham games, and the Arkham games look amazing compared to these.
Even now,
Yeah, and those
It's-
games came
it's
out a decade
insane.
ago.
And
And
they
it's-
they took the time. Like they cared about this stuff. That's my takeaway. They just
Yeah.
don't care. You hit it on the head with the corporate thing, where this is what we've set out to put out. Take it or leave it. Oh, don't worry. Everybody chose leave it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing with like Cyberpunk and especially with No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky has had so many updates. And it's like they've like, and the thing is, they haven't monetized any of them. It's like
Yeah.
you pay for the game, you get like however many years of updates for free that have basically like tripled, if not more, the size of the game, like the things that you can do, and it's just amazing. It feels like every other month there's a new giant update that they could have monetized and say, hey, we got this new DLC that adds, a bunch of new ships and more components and this entire like new adventure type. And it's like I just saw they announced an update that makes it so you're the only person in the galaxy. It's like you're completely solo, so there's no shops. There's the like MMO type style of gameplay in the game. It's just gone.
Right.
Which completely different style of game.
sounds
It's
depressing.
a little bit. But it's like it's a different style of game where it's like you have to work for everything. You can't rely on other people getting you stuff. They've added ship customization. Like they've added so much stuff over the years, and they're still going. And what they've done with No Man's Sky is exceedingly rare. Where they started with a product that was not great, and stuck with it, and somehow made it amazing. And this is not one of those cases.
Oh
I don't-
no.
And
No.
I think
You gotta
the
fall on
only
your sword a
Please
little.
stop
Yeah.
hurting
And
us.
I'm a huge DC fan at heart, and things like this, like, hey, I'm throwing this out there. DC video games suck again. And in unrelated news, water's wet. Da 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 da.
Yeah.
But this actually kind of breaks my heart, and I think it comes back to, you know how to focus on where it all went sideways. It's a matter of kind of falling on your sword, and with Rocksteady, their backs is against the wall and they know it, but they can't even get a lead in place to kind of let fans have something to hope for. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of hollow. Like unless we have big news. What big news? Like
Yeah, it's a little
Nickelback
vague.
broke up? Like what big news? Like and it's just so vague. Like big big news. What, the Hindenburg 2 went up like,
Yeah.
a pack of fireworks? Like, yeah, it just feels hollow. And a lot of it is like, well, this is what we've rolled out. Take it or leave it. If they go back to kind of, well, not really the drawing board, but if they go back to kind of go forward, it will be big news, but it's not going to be anything anytime soon. Because I just don't think they've put together a good game. And what they did put together, this is like that, the Scorpion King, CGI at the end of The Mummy Returns. It's
jeez.
oh yeah, we made this. Cool, right? Like, no, you should have pushed back the release date. Yeah, this feels a little like that, where this is what it is. Take it or leave it. And it's like, oh, leave it's always an option. You should have known better.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's hard for me. Like I said, big DC fan ever since I grew up, or as I was growing up, like as a young kid. And just to see them kind of fall over, especially when they have real good video games with amazing narrative and storylines. And
look at the amazing DC Pride comic. Happy Pride, everyone! While we're here, let's do that.
Yeah, this is news. This is once again like Ubisoft, where it's like love-hate. Yeah, we had the Pride Parade here in Salt Lake City. It was cool. And I did ride share, so all my seats are covered in glitter.
Yeah, I got the alt cover. I got the alt cover for
not.
the DC Pride with Harley and Ivy, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
My buddy said burn the car to get rid of the glitter.
Yeah, that probably still won't get rid of it. You'll just have the glitter and not the car.
That's crafting
glitter,
herpes.
roaches, and Twinkies. That's all that's going to survive, and it all goes kaplooey.
So what do you got for us, Sean?
All right. A little bit of, it's kind of bittersweet because it kind of sucks, but it's more a little bit more uplifting. The studio behind Wildermyth, which is 2021's one of the best games of that year, is going into what they refer to as hibernation. So they recently released their Omen Road DLC, which is the last of the planned content for Wildermyth. According to them, it's doing well. I picked it up. I haven't gotten a chance to try it yet. I've reinstalled Wildermyth after having it uninstalled for a while. This game is amazing. First of all, we did talk about it earlier, like a couple of years ago on the show. It's an amazing, amazing game, not just for the tactics, but for the stories that you can create. The fact that the stories are different each time, your choices make big differences in that story. But yeah, they released their Omen Road DLC. It's the last of their planned content. They're still going to support it for like bug fixes and stuff like that, but active development on it is done. They're complete. There's still a couple of things that are going to happen, like they're going to have translations, and they're still going to bring it to other platforms and stuff like that, but there's not going to be any more new content. And but because of that, the studio is basically kind of just stopping production for a while until whatever their next project is, which is bittersweet because, I mean, they're not going to be active, which sucks. But at the same time,
layoffs, which sucks.
Well, that's the thing is there aren't really, they don't necessarily say that they're laying off people. The studio is going into hibernation. It's not going to be active, but they're an independent studio. They can make their own rules for this kind of stuff.
It literally says they're saying farewell to many of their team members.
Oh.
But, they're keeping some on to do this other stuff that they haven't finished.
Yeah.
Well, they could bring them back. Farewell isn't necessarily forever.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean, hopefully they would bring them back. Well, I mean, hopefully they can find something else. Or they get another project that brings them back.
And if they do, they can actually go like Welcome Back Carter style. Welcome back. Sorry.
But yeah,
that was bad.
Yes, it was. But it's also on brand.
True.
But yeah, it just kind of sucks because I like Wildermyth. I want there to be more stuff. But
yeah,
I get, like I said, I still got to try out Open Road. It's supposed to be more like a roguelike, even more roguelike than the basic game, where you're actually, it almost has like a, almost a Slay the Spire type map that you go through. I got to try that out. I really need to get back into this game.
This is
Might
better
be-
than, just cranking out garbage sequels because they
Yeah.
can, right?
Yeah,
Like, hopefully they find or come up with
something new.
a new
Yeah.
project.
I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of recent news as well, as like not in the gaming universe, but in animation. The studio behind Bluey is basically kind of done the same thing, where they've gone into hibernation. There's not any new episodes of Bluey coming out. But they've literally said, it's like, we're doing this on purpose. This isn't because we are like lacking motivation or lacking the funds or resources to put more out. We're doing this because we need a break, so that way we can continue making great content later. So I'm hoping that's kind of the case with this as well, that it's like, okay, we're going into hibernation until our next big project is, whatever that may be. Then once we have that next big project, we'll bring people back, start cranking on that with fresh eyes and fresh hands. But yeah, I thought that was with that being such a big game for me, I thought that was noteworthy that
Yeah, they
Yeah.
signed off in their statement saying, I'm pretty sure we'll eventually find something else to pour our passion into, and we'll let you know about it when that time comes.
yeah, a little bit somber today for many reasons. If you were
Yeah.
you
Well, hopefully you
listen-
get a good amount of time out of that DLC that just dropped. So
yeah. All right. Before we get back to work, I'd like to mention our Patreon, patreon.com/PTGcast. If you'd like to help us out each month with our paychecks, you can go there, drop us $1, $5, $10. It all helps out. We all really appreciate it. And yeah, patreon.com/PTGcast if you'd like to support us. And with that, let's get back to work.
Morning break is over. Morning break is over.
So the reason why all of us are holding some kind of Pokemon at this point is because we're going to be talking about Pokemon Go. So this month we're going to be talking about mobile games. And even though Pokemon Go came out 8 years ago, this is one of the games that we did talk about on the original run of the Part-Time Gamers. You can check out the archive. It was from, I believe, July of 2016. That we talked about this, me, Ember, and my real life friend, Zach, at that point. But the reason we're bringing this back up is because it's still a thing. There's still like a Pokemon Go Fest each year. There's still people playing it. They've had a crap ton of updates. So we're going to talk about some of that new stuff and, give our opinions on it. So developed, published by Niantic and Pokemon Company, free to play on Android and iOS. It does have in-game or in-app purchases and such, which are optional for the most part. There are ways of gaining the in-game currency as well, just by playing the game, mostly doing the gyms and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily, like I played this quite a bit, especially when it came out. I think actually all of us, you, me, and Zach played it a lot when it originally came out. I haven't spent a dime on it, so
Yeah.
which is it's pretty good. I did actually recently find out in the shop they do have a like daily free box as well that just gives you some.
which I always forget to pick up. Always.
Yeah, I've been playing going through Pokemon Go again for especially the last like week and a half since we figured out we were going to be talking about this, and I think I've gotten that box twice. I remembered about it. So
You
But
get
yeah.
to ignoring that dot because it's like, you
yeah,
just want me to go to the shop.
yeah. Until you realize like, oh, right, they actually do offer some free stuff.
Well, like Monopoly Go has a free box in the shop too, like every something like 7 hours or 8 hours or something. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
only found out a month ago.
Yeah. So for people who are unfamiliar with this, who maybe didn't get caught up in it 6 years ago or since, this is an AR, like augmented reality basically just Pokemon catching game for the most part. You can actually, if you have the augmented reality turned on, and you look on the map, you can click on the Pokemon. You can actually search around for the Pokemon, and you just a bulk of the gameplay for starting off, especially, is just catching the Pokemon. And unlike more traditional Pokemon games, you don't have to battle it at first. You just throw the Pokeball. Depending on how accurate the ball is, how accurate your throw is, you have a higher chance of catching the Pokemon. So it's pretty simple. There's only a couple different kinds of Pokeballs that you can use that increase your chances and everything. Fairly simple. It has a little bit of nuance with, you have the option of like giving them certain berries to affect their attitude, whether it makes them easier to catch, or there's another one that I don't remember it might have been there when I was playing it 8 years ago, where it makes it move around less.
Yeah,
So,
the Nanab berry.
Yeah.
The bananas. It's easy to remember because like they look like bananas, which would make you sleepy.
Yeah.
So like if something's really active and you're having a hard time catching it, like that's the good one to give it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like raspberries make it easier to catch. Nanab berries slow them down. If you use a pinap berry, the ones that look like pineapples, you get more candies.
Yeah.
From catching them, which candies help you evolve.
Yeah.
And
Power 'em up and evolve and everything.
Silver pinaps give you even more candy and make it easier to catch. So
I haven't encountered those ones yet. Oh, I have the regular 3, but I haven't encountered a silver one yet.
Oh, I have a bunch of silver one. I don't remember how exactly you get them, but
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think it's from certain catches.
Okay. I must not have gotten anything special then.
Maybe you don't have enough friends. Maybe they come from trades.
That's probably also true, but yes.
Ooh.
But yeah, like, so that's the bulk of the gameplay, is you going out and catching the Pokemon. But now what's unique about that is you're actually going out into your actual world and going out and catching them, because everything in here is based off a real world map. So like when you're looking at the map of Pokemon Go, it's an actual map of your location. And there's various Pokemon around you. And that's one thing that I think is kind of interesting about this, is there's different factors for what Pokemon are around you. Like the actual environment that you're at affects what kind of Pokemon will show up. Not just...
Well, there are locations that are nests and have certain types, but then there's weather.
Yes, weather is another factor.
Certain kinds either have bonuses or pop. Now, the locations for stops and gyms is something I do want to touch on, because I think it's one of the best things about the game. It has a long history because it was just an overlay of Ingress's map that was built up for years and years, where people creating these stops. It was kind of like this big AR experiment, basically.
Yeah.
I very seldom use the AR actual features in Pokemon. I just kind of stay in the animated most of the time when they let me. Which they let you most of the time. But it's actually a good way when you go somewhere new to find stuff. Because along with, it's a million churches, right?
Yeah.
Like every freaking church is
Yeah.
a Pokestop, but parks and but monuments and historical things. Like when I went to DC, I was on a field trip with my son. It was like, holy crap, I'm amazed.
Yeah.
And we were at the Vietnam Memorial, and it was raining, and my group is the only one that, because I had Pokemon Go, and I'm like, what's that over there? And I opened it, and there was a Pokestop, and it was, when you spin these stops, if you touch on them, you can look and see what they are. And when people trade gifts with you that you're friends with, and I have friends, all over the world in Pokemon Go, they'll send you a little gift with a postcard, and you can look at whatever historical thing they were spinning, a museum or an art piece or whatever. And there was a museum near the Vietnam Memorial that was a tribute to all the women that had served in that war.
Yeah.
That was just like 20 yards away, but nobody was going to see it because it was raining. That, everybody ran back to the bus, and I got to talk to them about the other stuff I was seeing as Pokestops.
Yeah. So that is definitely one thing that is like the biggest draw of this game in general is the fact that it gamifies walking around.
Yes.
That was one of the big things about the game from the start is you get benefits from just going out on walks. You have the game active, even if you don't have it up on your as long as you have it active, it keeps track of your steps and everything like that. So you can make Pokemon stronger by going on a walk. You can hatch Pokemon eggs by going on walks and everything. And it's like you mentioned the Pokestops and the gyms. They're actually at different real world locations. Like this week I found out that there's a church where our house comes up to the back of a parking lot of a church right behind our house. There's 3 Pokestops right there, one of which is literally in range of me right now.
Nice.
So, which has been really beneficial because I don't like going on walks. So just being able to open up Pokemon Go and spin that from my living room, it's been real beneficial. But yeah, like the church also has a gym there. There's, I remember back in 2016, I went on a trip to Cedar Point, amusement park over in Ohio. And they have this little slow moving train that goes around the park. And I think we went on there and I pulled up Pokemon Go, and sure enough, there was it seemed like every 20 feet there was another Pokestop. So I was just going on the train, spinning the Pokestops as I was going through. And but one thing
you don't have to walk. It's fine.
well, yeah, but the one thing that they have done since 2016 is they actually have put a speed limit on it. So if you're,
oh yeah, that's been there a long time.
yeah, I mean that they came up with that short, the year following it when it originally was released.
And it took some fine tuning because a lot of people like to bike
Yeah,
and do it, but they try to keep it so you're not just driving around.
yeah,
And it'll pop up and you have to say you're a passenger. But even if you're a passenger, it doesn't work very well to go too fast. So
yeah, because I think it actually does. Like if you're going too fast, things don't even come up for you as an option.
It just says try again later if you try to
Yeah.
spin when you're going too fast.
Yeah.
Like I'll do it when Rob's driving, and it's just like it lets you say I'm a passenger, but it's not really gonna.
Yeah.
It's not worth doing.
Yeah. So it really does gamify going out on walks, bike rides, stuff like that.
And something they've added in that respect more recently are routes. It
this
took me
one
a
I
while to
didn't
find it, but I've started
yeah.
using it, and I went and did another one yesterday, a new route.
Yeah.
Because they had art in the park here, and I knew there were stops at Martin Luther King Park. But routes are neat. If folks don't know where to find them, you look on your little radar in the bottom right corner that kind of shows you what Pokemon are nearby and lets you map to them. There's a tab there for the route, and you can find routes near you. And it basically gives you a real map of your area, and you can see where the nearest routes are. And, if you go over there, it'll give you a little, as long as you start at the starting point, you can start the route. And then, so this is also easily cheatable. You don't have to walk the exact route that is laid out. As long as you walk around in that area for the number of meters that the route is and come back to the start, you're going to get the credit and be able to trade a gift with the trainer at the end and get the rewards for that. I found this out because there's a Caldwell Park here is like a park and a graveyard next to it that has the most Pokestops in town. Every town has one of these clusters, right? Where this is where you'll meet your Poke friends.
This is where you'll poke your friends.
Oh gosh, hopefully not.
I want to try that game.
But the path I was walking is way longer than whoever created this route. And you can just create the routes yourself. I'm not sure because I did get access because I played Ingress long enough to get access to try and create stops. When a friend of mine had a brewery and I wanted to make a stop.
Yeah.
But I have permission to create routes. I don't know if everybody can. But whoever made this route over at Caldwell is really lazy and went around one little block. Because I walk all the way down to the memorial at the other end and then back up to the gazebo, like by the dog park. And I walk way, way longer than that route. But I found that I didn't have to follow the exact path it showed me.
Yeah.
I got back to the beginning. I had walked plenty, and it gives you the credit.
Yeah.
So that's excellent. I think that's excellent game design. It would be really annoying to try and, because phone compasses and GPS are not always super accurate.
Yeah.
Like not getting credit because you went off that exact path would suck.
Yeah.
Like that would be rage inducing.
Yeah. Just having it be
I had-
close enough. You know, that works, especially for something like this.
And you can pause the route. I was at the art in the park. I was trying to do this route. I ran into a friend. I paused it. Like, I'm not gonna I gotta go finish this. Bye. You know, I'm walking here. You know,
A Pokemon in here.
Yeah.
I hung out with my friends. I paused it. I went back. I was able to walk around a little bit, go back to the beginning, and get my credit. So
Yeah.
that's a nifty thing. There's something called Campfire you can browse. Sorry, because of doing a lot of legwork trying to help my friends in my community in a time of tragedy. I never did get the research done on campfires and what the hell
Yeah.
that means.
Yeah.
Pokemon make s'mores.
Yeah.
There's some kind of teaming up they
I wouldn't
have
be
now.
I
with
wouldn't be
groups
surprised if the
and-
s'mores are Pokemon.
because you have right. I mean that's what we do. We grind up the candy, we eat them. Because like raids back in the day, raids were you have to be certain distance from a gym, or you can fly in with a remote pass, right?
Yeah.
Now they also have local raids that you can only play if you are right there,
Yeah.
but you can. It's not one you can invite people to like you can with other ones. They have like super local ones, and I think that's very transparently an effort to try and get people to come the hell back out and walk together.
Yeah.
Most of these new initiatives are that kind of thing, along with showcases. Showcases are something that kind of only show up when you're by a gym and spinning it.
Yeah.
There's if it's got a little icon floating over it. My neighbors are blowing off fireworks, by the way.
Awesome.
So you know, no one called 911. It's fine. Yeah, they've been doing that for days.
Awesome. Great neighbors.
Yeah, it's great.
Ugh.
So, there's a little icon that floats above these gyms, and it's a showcase. So that lets you drop a Pokemon there. Unlike if you don't have to take over that gym or anything for your team. If it's like tall, the tallest one, or the biggest one, or the smallest one, it's like a little contest. Like I just got one back today. It was returned to me from over at Martin Luther King Park, and I got the biggest Emolga in that Pokemon showcase, and got to claim some rewards for having done that.
Nice. But yeah, and all this to say as well is like there's been a lot of stuff added since in the last 8 years. I mean, when it first came out, there was just there was Gen 1. There was 150 Pokemon available. Now, there is 1,008 Pokemon files in the game files. And just over 730 of them are actually capturable. So yeah,
There's you're not going to catch them all.
No, you're probably the thing is, I'm sure there actually are people who have done it.
I'm sure there are people. Who do.
Somebody,
There's
yeah.
people that are really, really into this.
Yeah. But yeah, even like when it originally came out, there wasn't the only like battles that they had were the gym battles. Oh, since then they've
right, yeah, and now you can battle
Now you
other
can-
trainers.
Yeah. Now, granted, on that front, if you're
Battle Team
familiar,
Rocket.
yeah, that's another thing. Like, yeah, you can battle. There's been a couple balloons hovering over my house that I battled Team Rocket, doing that. Now, if you've played any of the other Game Boy Pokemon games, this is not that. Basically what the battle.
Right, it's not turn-based combat.
Yeah, what the battle is in this is wildly tapping the screen until your charge move is fully charged, and then just doing that. And when you do your charge move, you have to swipe certain kind of sections of the screen.
Little
or whatnot.
animations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you don't even have to do that in the gym battle, just in your Pokemon.
Yeah, just in trainer battles.
Yeah.
So it's definitely doesn't the strategy comes more from the type advantages, rather than the actual tactics of what move to use and stuff like that.
And that's something that I don't, like I said, I don't play regular Pokemon. I played Arceus and Go. Right.
Yeah.
Although Arceus does have the turn based, but I'm not the walking encyclopedia of types and moves and everything else.
Yeah.
But these in Go, the Pokemon do have moves. They have types. They have items you can get to change their moves. And I do have a son who is a walking Pokemon encyclopedia. And when I've gone to a big leader battle or a raid or something, I'm like, hey, what do I use against this? He's always been able to give me the right team. So I think it is in line with the, full games.
Yeah, I mean, just the type advantage, that whole system does have its complexities. I stopped basically at Gen 2, maybe a little bit of Gen 3. Oh, and we're up to Gen 48,926 now, something like that. So it's there are dozens of Pokemon that I have encountered already. They're just I don't even know what you are, let alone what type you are. So I'm just going to go with whatever my strongest Pokemon are and hope that works. And half the time it doesn't. But yeah, you have that type advantage. But beyond that, beyond analyzing the type advantage, which Pokemon to use at what times, like you said, you can add moves to them, change moves out. But beyond that, it's not the turn based. It's the actual gameplay is just you're tapping the screen and then tapping your charge move. And it's and then when they do their charge move, you have the option of blocking, but you only have a certain number of those per battle. Yeah. So, I mean,
they also get 2.
Yeah. Which Team Rocket never seems to use it.
Sometimes, not often. No, the leaders are smarter. They use it more often.
Yeah.
But that's so. There's that little bit of strategy in there where you want a time. You know what? I don't have enough health left, or this Pokemon's not doing well enough to bother blocking, or I'll switch here. So you get a little of that. But the game is more about walking around.
Yeah.
Or sitting and playing, with a friend, do some trainer battles. That's how I sucked Rob back in. Rob put it down years ago. I think he put it down during the pandemic because we weren't going and walking anywhere. And I had this quest that was this mission I couldn't do. I needed to fight another trainer, and he downloaded it again and updated it so he could do that for me. And now it's there's all these new Pokemon, right? And that's the most exciting part. And they rotate that pretty well. Right now, there's a thing going on with a bunch of missions to catch Kanto Pokemon, which those were released a long time ago. So you're seeing ones you haven't seen in a while as well. So you haven't been able to keep leveling up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really, when it comes down to it, it really is that walking motivation, because there are so many aspects of the game that are linked to actually getting out and moving around and everything. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually track your steps. It tracks distance via GPS and everything. So going on a treadmill is not going to help you. But
yeah, unfortunately.
Well, at least in regards to the game, it will help you to be more healthy, but It won't help your Pokemon to get stronger. But I do think it is very admirable in that respect that, it gamifies that like somewhat fitness, like just that aspect of just getting up and going around. Hence why it's called Pokemon Go.
And the learning stuff about other places.
Yeah, that's
Like
it.
when you get gifts from people now, you can keep the postcards,
Yeah.
like make a little scrapbook. Like I have a friend who's an online friend, Curtis, who, I met him at Nerdtacular in 2017. And I miss him and I'd love to see him again and hang out. And he lives in New York City. And it occurred to me, because he started playing again, I saw him pop up, he sent me a present, I'm like, oh, I'm going to like pin these stops he hits when he sends me gifts. And then next time I go to the city, I can like go to those places and then call him up like, I'm right here. Like,
Yeah.
I know where his neighborhood. So,
Yeah.
no, I don't advocate cyber stalking. I mean, he has given me permission to come and hang out with him, but
We don't advocate it, but do it anyway.
It's an
it's interesting
option.
to see. It's interesting to see the stuff like your friends see every day in that way. And I save up, like I play a lot. I go to Vegas and like I give all my presents away so I could pick up cool gifts when I'm traveling to send to my friends.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute, right? It's free, but they get to see that like the Plaza Hotel is where the first telephone in Las Vegas was. I thought that was interesting.
So yeah, even 8 years later after it's released, still relevant. Still a good time.
I see people doing it when I go to the park.
Yeah.
I wave.
I mean,
I
there's
parked next to somebody at Aldi that had a Team Mystic decal on their vehicle.
I forget which is the red one. Oh, is it Valor?
Valor.
Yeah, Team Valor all the way. Guess what?
so
Because it's
weird.
red.
That's so not in your personality. I know it's red, but
Oh, yeah.
it's like there are personality types that go with these, I have noticed.
Yeah. It's like, it's red and it's a Firebird, for crying out loud. Of course I'm going to choose that.
How could that not be cool enough? Yeah, that's not an option. That's the option.
Yes,
People
exactly.
just
that
remember-
choose that team all like behave a certain way, like they think they're the coolest, though. Like they're really brutal and nasty. Like
I
those are the
enjoyed
ones
this-
that'll take your gym that you just took down. They'll sneak in. It's
Well,
those
yeah.
people.
Oh, those, yeah.
Yes.
No. You can at least beat me up. Like, let me get in there. Come on.
Oh,
Let's fight. Fair fight. Sneaky bastard.
so this is how the part-time gamers crew breaks up over what faction we play in Pokemon Go.
How dare you pick Mr.
Mystic will
Mime?
take the high ground. And I'll always take care of my autistic instinct people. Like,
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
game was. I remember playing it for the first time and loving it. And I had mentioned a little bit offline. I'll get into it real quick. I stopped playing right around the time me and my girlfriend at the time almost got jumped while she was trying to hunt down like a Snorlax. And we're literally, she's like following. So real quick, I'm with her and I stopped playing because she's like, "Hey, are you playing Pokemon Go?" "No, I'm just following you." "Well, you should play it." And then 2 minutes later, she'll smack me in the shoulder and go, "Hey, look what I got." I'm like, pick a lane. I'll just do whatever you do. So where we were living on the other side was like this real scuzzy area, and you could tell they were up to no good. But like literally, it was like we walked through this one apartment complex, and oh yeah, maybe there's a drug deal going down. Yeah, I wouldn't say maybe. It was like, she's like, "Oh, there's a Snorlax." I was like, "Oh, there's 10 to 20. You know what? We got to go, guys. There's a roast in the oven." Yeah. And then she was like, "You don't want to play that game anymore." I'm like, No.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's definitely been stories. I mean, even like on TMS, there have been at least a couple of stories of like police officers who have like ignored calls because they were chasing a Pokemon, stuff like that. Oh,
Oh,
Taxpayer dollars at
back in the
work.
day. I think there's less of that now. I do
Yeah.
see that park is very well protected. There's like always, there seems to always be a car there. Whether it's because they're worried about, they might be protecting. They don't want people walking on the graves, catching their
Yeah.
Pokemon. But I know some of them play. Actually, I've got a Pokemon named after a fallen officer from the people that used to go out and raid with us Pokemon all the
Yeah.
time. And we all met. We had community days. We had like in person. Somebody 3D printed a bunch of crap and had a little party, and nobody's doing that anymore.
Yeah.
But people are still playing.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm one, and it does help me walk.
Yeah.
Like I've been going through, this. I needed the surgery, and now I'm having the recovery, and I can't just go to the gym and get on the treadmill. That's kind of much. But
Yeah.
there's a couple easy. I can't go to the state park and hike like I used to for a while. But I can go over to Caldwell or Martin Luther King Park or these places, and I know there's stops. So I like stop and spin and go on my little way, and it's a nice little motivation instead of just. It's really hard to make yourself go out and just walk by yourself
Yeah.
because it's good for you.
Yeah.
But like I've
Yeah.
got a cute Pokemon and I'm gonna get a little reward. Gamifying works on me. I admit it. It's fine.
Yeah, and it really doesn't take much a lot of times to gamify it to I'm a very I guess task oriented, whereas I need to have some kind of goal, or I guess that makes me goal oriented. One of the two, whichever is more relevant. I need to have some kind of goal when I'm doing stuff, even when I'm playing games. It's like again when we talked about open world survival games and stuff like that, and it's like eventually I get to the point where it's like, yeah, you can go out and do anything. Why? It's like so. Just like giving that a little bit of, it's like, okay, I can take this, I can go take a walk over in this area. It's like, okay, there's a forested area. There's probably going to be some, grass type Pokemon over there that I can try to catch. Oh, there's a couple Pokestops on the path there. Cool. I can hit those up and, replenish my Pokeballs, get some potions, stuff like that. It gives me a goal. So we'll see how stubborn I am, because I don't like outside in general. But we'll see.
That's where the people are. Ugh.
Yeah.
That's why it was frustrating. It doesn't work on a treadmill for me. Like I wish I
Yeah.
could integrate it with my watch and it would check my heart rate, because when it gets really hot down here in North Carolina, going for walks is terrible.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, it was less of an issue when it first came out, because I used to work in a restaurant at that point. So I would just have it on my phone in my pocket, and it would still register the distance I was walking inside the building. And I was getting like a couple thousand steps, however much, every day, just walking to and from the kitchen tables. So it worked out well for me. But now I actually have to go outside and be active. And I'm old and my
Hatch
knees
them
hurt.
eggs. By the way, folks, did you mention at the top that we're talking about mobile games?
Yes.
Is how we got here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mentioned this
Yes.
month's theme is mobile
This
games.
month. Yeah.
Oh, so I think that.
And
pretty
this
much
is
covers
kind of the
everything.
king of mobile games, right?
Yeah,
We didn't
I mean-
get into the history, but go back to the archives. I'm pretty sure we talked more about
Yeah, this is still
Ingress
kind of
and,
the big
and stuff
kahuna.
then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It kind of is. I don't know that a lot of other ones have lasted as long, at least
Yeah.
at this capacity.
Yeah. I mean, when you have the Pokemon name on it, that goes a long way. Oh,
Oh yeah.
and the fact that it's free to play, like I said, it does have that monetization. It has the store, but you can get the in-game currency, like going to gyms and stuff like that. So you don't have to buy anything with money. But yeah, it just, again, that little bit of gamification to just go around different Pokestops and stuff like that, it goes a long way. So I think that is one of the reasons why it has so much staying power, is because they have kept on updating it with more Pokemon, and people are collectors. They like going out and making sure they have everything of whatever. So
Yeah, and they're doing a little more with like stuff you can only get by hatching an egg, right?
Yeah.
Or by completing research.
yeah. I mean, and that's actually another thing we've kind of mentioned, that like the research goals and stuff like that. I like things like that, because like going out and hitting a gym or whatnot. Oh, Pokemon gym, not an actual gym. No one wants to go in those. But going out and hitting a Pokemon gym or Pokestops or whatever, catching certain Pokemon, that's one level of gamification. That's one level of goals. But then saying it's like, okay, in the midst of that, it's like, okay, you have a goal of like catching 5 normal types. Okay. It gives you much more specific things, and it gives you rewards for each of those. I like that factor as well.
Well, and they also now they have a lot of evolutions locked to certain goals.
Okay.
Like I'm walking, sometimes you have to walk with them a certain amount of times. Sometimes you have to, and then like I have Poiple right now, which is a really cute dragon. That's going to be a really awesome looking. It's like is it a grass? No, they don't have a grass dragon. Grass dragon's the only type of dragon they don't have, right? But anyway, it's really cool Pokemon, but I have to walk with it for like a certain number of kilometers. I have to give a certain amount of treats. I have to do a certain number of battles with it. I have to take a snapshot. I have to go to a new place, which you really get, hooked into the same routes. It's a reason to like,
Yeah.
I bet there's a park in the next town, right?
Yeah.
And that's good for your mental health, frankly.
Yeah.
And follow a route together. You have to do certain tasks with some of these Pokemon to evolve them.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, just that gamification really goes a long way. Again, I think that's why it has that so much staying power over the last 8 years. Oh, because
It's not going anywhere.
yeah, it's simple where it needs to be, but it has enough complexity where it needs it, to keep people interested.
It's poison. It's a poison dragon.
Nice.
Excited.
It's like from Belle Biv DeVoe song.
All right. So I think we've covered just about everything for this one. So everyone, if you like what you've heard and you'd like to help us out, a couple ways you can do that is you can give us a review over on Apple Podcasts. You can follow my Twitch and or YouTube channels for our live recordings Sunday nights starting at 9:15 Eastern Standard Time. Or you can become one of our patrons over at patreon.com/PTGcast if you'd like to help us out with our paychecks each month. With that, we'd like to thank our board member, Stephanie Hurst. Thank you very much for supporting us all these last few months. Several months, I should say. If you'd like to contact us, you can with our email, parttimegamers.cast@gmail.com. Or if you'd like a little bit more instant, you can join our Discord channel. You can find the link in that for that over on my website. Everyone, thank you for listening. Please join us next week. We're going to be talking about another kind of big name in general. We're going to be talking about Diablo Immortal. So this has been a controversial one in a lot of ways. Yes. So I just started playing it today, and first impressions are good, but this is just the beginning. I don't know what the end game looks like. That's where a lot of the potential controversy seems to have come from. So we'll get into it next week. Tell you our opinions of it. Or actually, I forgot. A little bit of programming note. We're going to be meeting 2 weeks from now. Not next week, in 2 weeks. We're not going to be having a show next week on the 9th because I'm going to be out of town. So the following Sunday, what is that, the 16th, that's going to be when we're going to be doing Diablo Immortal. Almost completely forgot about that. Anyway, kind of an important note to remember.
That gives people plenty of time to write to us and tell us what they think of it if they've been playing it.
That is also true. That's also true. I'm Sean. You can find the show and the rest of my work and links to my socials, including our Discord channel and my Twitch and YouTube channels and the Apple Podcast listing, using the link bit.ly/CI Productions. That will take you to my website, caffeineinducedproductions.com. I figured having that shorter link would be easier because I still mess up how to spell caffeine, even though I've literally been drinking it all day. Anyway, Ember, where can people find you around the internet?
Oh, the easiest thing to do is go to 9of12.com. That's NINEOF12.com.
And Theo?
People.
People.
I'm using up all my
Theeple.
words for the day.
He's a man of the people.
I'm a man of the people.
Uh,
I'm a people person.
yeah. I'm sorry, I'm using up all my words for the day. Theo.
I think it's your Pokemon name.
Theeple.
No, but all you can say is Theo, Theo.
People.
Oh man, that's awesome. Where can people find you around the internet?
They can find me. So I just did an episode of what you haven't seen with TV's Travis. That was really great about a movie called High Tension. Rabbit and Red Radio, we actually got started last week, so I'm back on that. We played a little catch-up episode. It is 4 hours long, so if your insomnia is really putting a dent in you, oh boy, we've got Snooze Fest for you. Like, it's literally like liquid Ben Stein for your ears. Like, next horror movie we're going to talk about. No, it's actually a really good time, and it was nice to kind of play catch up with producer Mike, because it had been a minute since we did a show.
Yeah.
Life happens while you're trying to enjoy living, unfortunately. And it is kind of one of those, am I wrong?
Yeah.
But it was great to be back on that. So that is just started up again. We've got a new episode Thursday at 5:00 Mountain Time, and we are going to be talking about our favorite Scream Queens.
Cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Also, I'd like to mention that this entire show, I have not stopped squeezing Pikachu. He's so soft.
Squishmallows are
Yeah,
delightful.
they are. They are like amazing.
Don't do that in public. You'll get in trouble.
Ugh. Anyway, anyways, until next time. On that note, until next time, we are the Part-Time Gamers, clocking out.